Welcome to the, December 17th, 2024 Angels Camp City Council meeting. Roll call, please, Rick.
Mayor Herndon.
Present.
Vice Mayor Moncada.
Present.
Councilmember Broglio.
Present.
Councilmember Chimente.
Present.
Councilmember Sherrato.
Present.
Staff is present.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 6 is report out of closed session. There's nothing to report. Direction was given to staff on all 3 items. That takes us to item 7. We have recognition and acknowledgements. First, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Nate Pry. And we'll come up there. Nate, if you want to come over and read this. Okay. We got to stand in front of the camera. Who am I? I'm going to talk this way. No disrespect. Okay, so here we have a proclamation honoring Nathan Pry for 10.5 years of distinguished service as the Deputy Fire Chief and Fire Marshal. Whereas Deputy Fire Chief, Fire Marshal Nathan Pry has exemplified extraordinary dedication, professionalism, and commitment to the safety and well-being of citizens of Angels Camp. And whereas in a remarkable demonstration of selflessness and devotion to the greater good, Deputy Chief Fire Marshal Nathan Pry has voluntarily stepped down from his position as Deputy Fire Chief Fire Marshal to assume the rank of Fire Captain 2, thereby directly enhancing staffing levels on each fire engine within our city. And whereas this self-sacrificing decision will greatly improve the fire department's operational readiness, enabling quicker and more effective responses to emergencies, thereby safeguarding lives and property. And whereas Deputy Chief Fire Marshal Nathan Pry's actions stand as a powerful testament to his unwavering dedication to public service and his steadfast commitment to the protection and well-being of our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that we, the Angels Camp City Council, do hereby express our deepest gratitude and high commendation to the Deputy Fire Chief Fire Marshal Nathan Pry for his exemplary service, extraordinary selflessness, and unwavering dedication to duty. Be it further proclaimed that this proclamation be entered into the official record as a lasting tribute of Deputy Fire Chief Fire Marshal Nathan Pry and his outstanding contributions to the safety and welfare of the City of Angels Camp. And this is in witness of myself and the seal of Angels Camp as 17th day of December 2024.
Thank you, Mayor.
Want to say anything?
Not really. Just thank you very much. This means a lot, and I'm happy to do it. And it betters our department and our city as a whole. And I look forward to serving as a fire captain.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you're gonna read this one. So we're gonna move on to the next one. Isabel really wants to do some reading tonight, so we're gonna bring Mark Gonzalez. And Isabel's
gonna test out my reading out loud skills. All right, so this proclamation honoring Mark Gonzalez for 3.5 years of distinguished service as the battalion chief. Whereas Battalion Chief Mark Gonzalez has exemplified extraordinary dedication, professionalism, and commitment to the safety and well-being of the citizens of Angels Camp. And whereas in a remarkable demonstration of selflessness and devotion to the greater good, Battalion Chief Mark Gonzalez has voluntarily stepped down from his position as Battalion Chief to assume the rank of Fire Captain, thereby directly enhancing staffing levels on each fire engine within our city. And whereas this self-sacrificing decision will greatly improve the fire department's operational readiness, enabling quicker and more effective responses to emergencies, thereby safeguarding lives and property. And whereas Battalion Chief Mark Gonzalez's actions stand as a powerful testament to his unwavering dedication to public service and his steadfast commitment to the protection and well-being of our community. Excuse me. Now therefore be it proclaimed that we, the Angels Camp City Council, do hereby express our deepest gratitude and high commendation to Battalion Chief Mark Gonzalez for his exemplary service, extraordinary selflessness, and unwavering dedication to duty. Be it further proclaimed that this proclamation be entered into the official record as a lasting tribute to Battalion Chief Mark Gonzalez and his outstanding contributions to the safety and welfare of the City of Angels Camp. In witness thereof, I hereto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Angels Camp of California to be affixed to the 17th day of December 2024.
Thank you. I got you. First of all, thank you, and like Nate said, it is a privilege for us to actually reorganize our department and to better serve our community. And this is pretty awesome. I mean, I see a lot of battalion in here though, but it's been a pleasure. Again, thank you so much, and we look forward to growing our department and moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 9 is approval of the agenda as posted or amended. Do we have any reason for anyone to amend the agenda? Seeing none, looking for a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second.
Shemente.
Aye.
Ferolio.
Aye.
Moncada.
Aye.
Hernan.
Aye.
Sharado. Aye. Thank you.
Item 9 is public comment. The public may address the council on any item of public interest not otherwise on the agenda that is within the jurisdiction of the city. No action may be taken. Matters to be addressed may be referred to city staff or placed on a subsequent meeting agenda, and speakers will be limited to 5 minutes per person. Do we have any public comment with us tonight?
You're on.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to take this quick opportunity to introduce you to our newest police officer, Christina Story. Christina graduated the police academy yesterday, and I attended. It was a great experience, and we're very lucky to have her on board with our agency. Christina grew up in Tuolumne County. She's been residing in Calaveras County for the last 4 years. She's married to Jeff Story, and she has 3 lovely children, 3, 5, and 10 years old.
Wow.
So she's local, which is a benefit to us. And like I said, we're just happy to have her on board to fill one of our vacancies. You guys all know the struggles that we've had with recruiting and retention and all that kind of stuff. Christina came to me in probably May or June or whatever. She applied, went through an interview process to become a police recruit, where we sponsored her through the remainder of the police academy. She was actually initially sponsoring herself, putting herself through on her own, paying her own way. And there's 3 different modules in the academy, the longest being module 1, which is the last one. It's about, I think, 6 or 8 weeks, I can't remember. But we were able to bring her on board and sponsor her through the remainder of the academy. She's been a great communicator and keeping me informed on everything that's been going on through the academy. She successfully completed everything. She didn't fail any of the portions of the academy, didn't have to remediate. So like I said, we're just happy to have her with us, and you will be seeing her face out on the streets. She's currently started field training with Officer Joe Linneo. Back there in the back, and hopefully we'll have her out there here in a few months, out there on her own, serving the public. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and move on to item 10, consent agenda. Does anyone have any reason to pull any of the items off of consent agenda?
I want to pull item D.
D?
Uh-huh.
I want to pull item D. Right? Any other items? Okay. Do we have any public comment on items A, C, and E? Seeing no public comment, I'm looking for a motion on A, C, and E to pass, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Second. And a second.
Shemente.
Aye.
Brilio.
Aye.
Moncada.
Aye.
Herndon.
Aye.
Sharada. Aye. Thank you.
Okay, and we're gonna go in order. Item B, that was pulled by you, Caroline. These are the draft minutes from December 3rd.
Under public comments for the item B, the minutes for December 3rd, Louise Simpson, you missed the P in her last name. I thought that was important to correct.
Okay. Any other corrections? Okay, do we have any public comment on item B? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion for the minutes as corrected.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, Rose?
Shemente and Caroline.
Yeah.
Shemente.
Aye.
Brilio.
Yep.
Moncada.
Aye.
Herndon.
Aye.
Sharada.
Aye.
Thank you. Item D, this is a resolution for 2488, annual banners for Caltrans encroachment. And Rose, you pulled this item.
Yes, the item is up on the screen for you.
Okay,
It currently has December 3rd on the resolution,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's just a correction. I was
Yeah.
just notified today on my way to the meeting.
That it was not 7.
Yeah, so we'll update it before it gets signed.
Since you pulled this item, I also have a question. Last year I asked the same question. We used to have a boom truck, and it feels, and it seems like our staff installs the banners. I'd like to know what the condition of that boom truck is, because, you know, we have a number of organizations that are voluntary and provide a service to our community. And if we could do away with the charge, and I don't know the condition of the boom truck or what it would cost to fix, but I was gonna ask later, but since you pulled it, I'd like an update on that, because we used to have one.
did it get surplus, Alvin? I feel like we don't have it anymore, do we?
I thought it died.
We
Like
still
died.
have it.
But I think it like, I
It's,
think it,
it's not, it's inoperable.
yeah, I
Okay,
think it
so-
died.
yeah.
Something bad happened. And that's why we can't even get surplus.
Bad.
I don't remember, but it was,
Oh, Amy might have information. She knows about our boom truck.
Not about the boom truck.
Oh.
But we are putting up additional
Right.
signs at the park so
Right.
that, so not everybody has to pay
Has to
for
pay.
a banner. It would be
Oh,
less expensive.
an
So
alternative, yes.
an alternative, yeah.
Have the list of organizations that are on this, are they made aware of that? Because then my question becomes, how many of these people are opting to go that route versus, or is that something that we'll just find out as we go and when the park is official?
As soon as, well, they will have to redo their banners unfortunately because they're a
Oh.
different size.
Got
They're
it.
not as big, they're smaller. So as soon as they're up, we will then start taking reservations and let them know also that they have that option.
Got it.
I have a question, Amy.
yeah,
If one of these, what?
she almost made it back.
I know,
It was
sit right
close.
there. So if one of these events opts out, do we have a placeholder with Caltrans to say, well, instead of that second week of June, can we now use the third week in October? Do we get that many, or does it have to be that event that week for that banner?
There's a little bit of flexibility. Basically, it's the number and the general sequence and the general
Sequence.
timing. Just like
Yeah.
with working, we still have to call in, we still have to, a week in advance.
Speak to it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking on that, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Did I already ask public? Does public have anything to say on this one? Seeing none, looking for a motion for resolution 2488 with the amendment.
So moved.
We have a motion, motion
I'll second.
and a second.
Shemente.
Aye.
Brilio.
Aye.
Moncada.
Aye.
Herndon.
Aye.
Sharada.
Aye, thank you. All right, now take this to our regular agenda, item A. This is Rural Recreation and Tourism Program, Uter Park and Light Your Mind Expansion Project Update. Amy.
Mayor and council members, the gym equipment will ship on January 15th, and we've calendared Sierra Play to be ready to install it. And we also met with the park committee on December 4th, and they approved a landscape plan, and I want to briefly go through it with you. Go ahead to next slide. Basically, go ahead to the next slide. There will be a deodorus cedar over on, I'm going to work from north to south, north of the stage, and then next slide. There would be a Chinese pistache within the expanded parking area. Next slide. There would be 3 weeping flowering cherries, which we are going to put around the Vietnam Memorial to replace what used to be weeping birch. And the memorial is going to be moved a little bit more uphill. And we're hoping to also add a bench recognizing the other veterans in the county at the same time. Next slide. We will have 3 tulip trees, we hope, roughly behind the kitchen area along in there. Next slide. A cork oak roughly behind the bocce courts. And the next slide will show you what cork oak is in case any of you are not familiar with where they get cork from for the wine bottles. Next slide. And there will be sugar maple, one at I call it the east end and one at the west end of the playground. And then Italian cypress lining Sam's Way. So that's basically the main thing. And a Colorado blue spruce, also known as the Colorado blue spruce, I need to fix that, for a community Christmas tree, which will be up along the front of the playground, and it won't grow immediately, we'll have to grow into it, but the idea is we are also running electricity to it so that we'd be able to keep it lit. Sort of, you'd look from the mansion straight out almost to it, so that's what the committee opted to do. We
How
ended
big will he be in his infancy?
15 gallon.
So small.
Yeah, small. We ended up with 17 trees. PG&E had offered to give us 15. They have said, no problem, they'll give us the whole 17. So right now what we're doing is we're reviewing the irrigation plan because that's the most expensive part. The trees and stuff are not all that expensive. And we'll be coming back to you about that. We've also pretty much wrapped up on the lighting plan. So pretty much all the major decisions and stuff are done. And hopefully we're still on schedule for the end of March to hopefully get this open, weather permitting. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I had a question about, I love the tree selection, you guys did a great job. There's only one recommendation I would make is instead of a weeping cherry, they are very disease prone up here.
Okay.
I would just go with a regular flowering cherry. Those seem to thrive in this climate, and the only reason why I know that is because we own a landscape business.
That's pretty good.
Amy, my notes from the meeting indicated that we were gonna alternate the Italians with a pair. Has that changed some
We looked into the pear, remember there was a concern
about
about
the prickles or something?
prickles or something on the pear.
Yeah.
And then we talked to Public Works, and basically the idea is if we could keep deciduous trees away from that side of the playground, it would be easier to keep clean if we kept the deciduous trees more towards the center of the park in terms of maintenance and cleanup. So
So are we just gonna send a quick email out?
we can send a quick email.
Just let them know and the rationale behind that?
Yes.
Okay, because that question about the pear tree was raised by one of the participants. Good, thank you.
And one more note on the cherries,
Yes.
they will die within 5 years, the
Okay.
weepings. So just FYI, that's why I brought that up.
Do you have any other recommendations for a weeping, only because the people who originally put in the Veterans Monument, they wanted something that was weeping, and I know so if you had a different recommendation for that, we might want to consider that.
Yeah,
But-
willows don't really do well either, but.
Right. There are,
Yeah.
I can talk to you later, but there are some,
How big are all the
evergreens.
other trees around the playground? So you have the Italian cypress and then what, sugar maple?
Yeah,
Those are your
they're-
shade trees, right?
Yeah, but they are slightly, a lot of those leaves would fall towards the center so that we can clean up that whole center area. We already have the sycamore, which is causing all the leaf drop.
Right.
So the idea was to try not to have leaf drop on that Sam's
For
Way
drainage.
side that would blow into the playground, but rather to have just that one that was on the north end near the stairway, it's probably gonna go over a little closer towards the stairway so that it would fall more into the open area.
Are they all going to offer shade though in the first, I mean, you're saying 15 gallon for the one, for the
Not
boosters.
immediately, fairly quickly,
Do
however,
they grow fast?
they grow pretty fast. And
Just the ones by
the sun, that's one cedar that's there actually does
Right.
cast shade across the whole playground, believe it or
Right.
not, in the late afternoon. So that's sort of nice. And we did strategically place those two maples to try to catch the most shade.
Mhm. Other questions? Do we have any public comment on the park? Seeing no public comment, bring it back for a last chance for anyone to have any questions or comments of Amy, and we'll move on. All right, thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Okay, we'll move on to item B. This is to adopt resolution 24-98, approving the release of a request for proposals to prepare an update to the city's 2016 traffic impact mitigation fees, and then authorizing the city administrator to sign, authorize, and execute all relevant documents and agreements for the update. Amy.
Mayor and council members, this is a follow-up to something that we brought to you during our fee updates. When we reviewed fees and compared them to other jurisdictions, our traffic impact mitigation fee was a little on the high end compared to other agencies and jurisdictions. Also wanted to make a correction in here. I talk about the 0.2% cost added to the traffic impact mitigation fees to pay for updates. That was actually to pay for the 2016 update, so just wanted to clarify that. As well as the price. While the cost to do the study itself would be approximately $25,000, we will also need $20,000 to $30,000 from our city engineer, his staff, to update the cost of all of the resources we do decide we want to pay for using the impact mitigation fee. They have not been updated. They weren't given a whole lot of detail when they were first established, so that is a high end so that we would not have to come back. And obviously, if we go through this the way we hope to, we will have a very short list for them to have to establish costs for, so they won't have to spend that whole amount. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So Amy, our current plan has like 25,469,000 traffic lights.
Yes, it does.
Can we just say something generic, like traffic lights will be installed where necessary, or what do you recommend we do as opposed to saying we're gonna have, a traffic light on every corner or however it is?
Based on the frequency with which we need to put in traffic signals, I would say we include one traffic signal in the plan over the next 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
And fund for that and not necessarily be precise, even though you do to a certain extent, because when you collect the fee, you have to make the nexus that the people paying the fee are benefiting from where the light would go in.
Okay.
So, so basically we would try to go that direction instead of having 4,562,000.
Okay. And then, I think it's in this traffic mitigation, it showed the conditions of our current roads. Will that also occur with this?
No.
Okay.
That's our pavement management study.
Pavement management, okay. And my last question is, I noticed that we're gonna form a little subcommittee to decide what we wanna do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll need to do that. They did it the time before. You have to decide, and it's usually gonna come to a couple public hearings to
Okay.
determine what's gonna be on the list and what's the highest priority to fund through the traffic impact mitigation fee.
okay. So more information on that,
Oh, yeah.
on the extent of that.
Yeah, we will likely start with the list we have. It's pretty comprehensive,
No, it's,
but it's a little perhaps too comprehensive, and we can narrow that down, add some of our evacuation routes in there, and go from there, and then pare it down.
okay, thank you.
How much money do we have in the traffic mitigation?
1 million
$1
bucks.
1,550,000,
Great.
you have the exact number. $1.555, $621.34. I'm making up the last part, but it's a little over 1,555,000.
If I may, Jen?
Yeah.
I appreciate the direction that we're going. I think it's gonna make a plan that is more usable and workable for our citizens. And I also hope that it reduces the cost of the permit when people, so if we can accomplish those two things, then I think it's a win for everyone. So, thank you guys.
As long as it doesn't go up, not down.
Well, I think if we take out some of the
At least 2,534,000.
Jeez.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Alvin or Isabel, do you guys have any questions or comments on the impact mitigation?
I have one. How often do we have to do a traffic impact mitigation?
You're supposed to
Adjustment?
update it every 5 years.
We're supposed to. So last one we did was 2016.
Yes,
So we are out of compliance anyways.
yes.
Okay.
And this is the only way to address that fee in our.
Yes.
We already talked about that.
Yes.
Yeah, impact mitigation fees are highly regulated, highly litigious. I'm sure the attorney will tell you there's
So
quite a bit.
walk me through, how did it get so high last time?
The vote
Why
was
do
three. The vote was 3-2, by the way, when it was adopted, and there are a lot of traffic signals in it. There's 40, something like that. There's a whole bunch of traffic signals in
So
it.
it had to take those into consideration to afford?
Yes.
Yeah, the
So,
cost, the
right.
cost of those, yeah.
Yeah, and
But
each
we know
one.
we're not doing a ton of traffic.
And that's what we were
Right.
responding
We
to.
also had a growth rate of 2.5% figured into
Back
it, which
then.
we're not coming anywhere near.
So we can control those factors this time
We can
around.
control those factors, as well as we had pretty much every capital improvement we may be doing over the next 50 years. You don't necessarily have to have a 50-year
Put into
plan.
this 5-year mitigation plan.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, so
again, it's, I wouldn't do a 5-year.
No.
They usually do a 10-year break and a 20-year break when they do the plan, and then you decide what you want to keep in and not keep in, what's likely to be built, what's likely to need to be built then.
So we can definitely get more realistic in the.
Yes, we can.
And then what's the timeline for the study, the traffic impact study?
Didn't do a
I mean, we'll
timeline
do the
yet. It's
RFP.
the RFP is gonna take, and to get somebody hired, 3, 4, 5, 6 months even. And then depending on their schedule.
So like
And
within
how
a year,
much
hopefully.
public input and how much debate is involved. Could be up to a year, but we'll try to make it closer to 9 months if we can.
So before you leave, I have one more. So we do the traffic impact mitigation fee. Does that reduce Habitat's cost, or are they locked in on the old fee schedule?
They actually had a reduction based
Okay, that's-
upon a special analysis that we borrowed from Caltrans, which showed that there are fewer trips taken by certain income groups. So
Okay.
theirs was already reduced.
Oh.
In fact, all affordable housing has a reduced traffic impact mitigation fee under our current schedule.
Good question.
Yeah.
Isabel, anything? Okay. We don't have any more conversation. I'm looking for a motion on resolution 24-89.
So moved.
Sorry, 24-98. I got those mixed up. Do we have a motion? Rose?
Second.
Second?
Second. Shemente.
Aye.
Brolio.
Aye.
Moncada. Hernan.
Aye.
Sharada.
Aye.
Thank you.
So now we're looking at item C. This is resolution 24-89, authorizing the purchase of ATM 062003041, which would expand Tryon Park to Angels Creek, and then authorizing the city administrator to sign, authorize, and have recorded all relevant documents. Amy.
Mayor and council members, we debated whether or not to even bring this back to you, to be honest with you. Basically, it took a while to get the sales agreement together. And in that time, the owner had to pay additional property taxes and came back to us and said, hey, you guys, it took a while. We want to get that recovered. So the price, instead of $4,161, went to $4,289. And when you go to escrow, sometimes the escrow officer asks you for your resolution, and we didn't want to have a difference in the price and hold up closing. So we brought it back to you to approve at $4,289, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. I have a question.
Okay,
What was the reasoning for the sales agreement to take 5 months?
We basically, it took a while to get it through the city attorney's office, and also there were some transitions, so, things get lost in the shuffle, but we got it done.
Does that complete is there another acquisition that we have to do in order to make that park whole?
Yes.
Is there one more?
There's one more, and we have had an accepted offer on that, but there was a death in the group of people who owned it, and so until probate is taken care of, we can't really proceed on it.
Okay.
do we have any public comment on item C? Seeing none, looking for a motion on resolution 24-89.
So moved.
I'll second.
Aye.
Braulio.
Aye.
Moncada. Hernan.
Aye.
Serrato.
Aye.
Thank you.
You have a great smile. I had to do that just to see that great smile.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to administration reports. Steve, you're gonna start with item A, which is 584 South Main Street, the former city hall.
Hey, Mr. Mayor and council members, you may have noticed that the re-roofing project started today. So they were out there, they stripped the roof down today. Hopefully we'll get it inspected tomorrow. They plan on being done, completely done. There was some dry rot reported, so they replaced all that. Hopefully it'll pass inspection tomorrow. If not, we'll replace whatever needs to be replaced. They plan to complete the project either Thursday, but Friday at the latest. It's supposed to rain on
This
Saturday.
week? Oh,
Yeah.
good. Wow.
So that's just in time before we get some more rain. So in addition to that, you may have also noticed that there are now 5 signs posted on the property declaring that unauthorized presence is prohibited, along with the code sections that our law enforcement can use to enforce those unauthorized presence on the property. Contacted Stockton Fence Company, who is scheduled to come out on January 2nd to remove the fence. So hopefully that will be appreciated by all. I know that fence has been up for a long time and it was up for a good reason, but now we have some tools in place that we can protect our asset out there. So I think a combination of replacing the roof, getting the signs posted, getting the fence taken down, and then you guys authorized just a little more money than what was necessary for the roof. So if there is money left over, we'll invest some of that money into beautification of the property, making it look a little better than it does right now, and just trying our best to be a good neighbor to the to the community in that area. So answer any questions you have about 584 South Main Street.
Questions or comments? Do we have any public comment on this item? Seeing none, thank you so much for that, Steve. We'll move on to item B. This is discussion about our spray field.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. This probably would have been better suited for future agenda items, but PG&E has reached out to me, and Chris O'Flynn and I have been in contact with some managers of PG&E who would like to rent our spray field for a long-term I think it's 3, maybe 4, but I think it's a 3-year project where they intend to replace some transmission lines that run, if not through that property, very close to that property, and they have identified our property as the ideal place for the next 3 years, essentially to park their equipment, store their things, create an LZ for a landing zone for their helicopter that's going to need to come in. And it just so happens that property is currently being leased to or rented to somebody else. The term of that lease expires July 31st. and PG&E wants to start renting it July 1st, so there's a little bit of a 30-day issue that we'll have to work through. Along with, do we want to, in addition to the little 5-acre portion that PG&E wants to rent, do we want to rent the other 195 acres back out to the same person or somebody else, or put it up? So I just wanted you to know that that is on the horizon, and it's going to be brought back to you for our full discussion at a future meeting, probably the January 21st meeting.
So when does that acreage up, or when does that come up, when does it come due? PG&E wants to rent it.
July 1st, and the current agreement doesn't expire until July 31st.
Okay, so it's, okay, the 1st and 31st.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
a 30-day overlap.
I would be concerned having cows and a helicopter in the same field. I mean, I can't imagine a cow ignoring that helicopter coming into that. I know the cows aren't out there a lot, I mean, so, but I don't know, I mean, it'd be something at least to consider. And then if that were the case, then we'd lose that current income then, correct?
We would rent it to PG&E for something that ensures that we don't lose any income.
Okay, I'd be fine with that. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I would think that that helicopter might be running them through a fence.
Yeah, we can have the full discussion when it's up for
Right.
the agenda. However, with the issue of the cows, there is a need for vegetation control.
Yeah.
And whether PG&E takes that part on there, they only want 5 acres.
Right.
It's 200-acre land.
So what if you fenced another 5 acre around, you know what I mean?
I know, I don't.
You're
know.
looking for piecing off 5 of those acres for PG&E, and then what do we want to do with the other lease,
Right.
or lease it all to PG&E? Is that what you're saying?
It's open
It's
for,
open for
it's
discussion.
all
I
open,
think,
yeah.
yeah, you want to bring it back as an agenda.
I do.
Okay, I'd like to table this
Yeah.
conversation until we do that.
Yeah, so
we
it's
can.
just bring it to your attention that this is gonna come up in the future. I've already been in discussions with PG&E. Chris has identified an area that he's comfortable with, allowing PG&E to use our property there, so it will come up in the future.
Perfect. Okay. Anything else from an administrative standpoint?
I do, one more.
Okay.
We have Michael Clark in the audience, who has started with us as our building fire code enforcement officer, and he's 2 days on the job and just doing a great job so far. So we are very happy to have him.
Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
You may have noticed that he's joined us for the last several council
Yes,
meetings and just
Council.
sat quietly in the audience,
Yes.
and I appreciate that. I'm happy for us. I think he's gonna be a great addition to the city. He's gonna be in orientation for the first couple of weeks, learning everything that needs to be learned. And so thank you for being here, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's gonna go out and inspect our roof on our old
He
city.
is gonna go out and yes, he is.
You let us know how we
And
did.
and he's not gonna let us slide on anything.
Yeah, nice to see you, Michael. Okay, moving on to, go ahead.
Oh, you got one more.
Sorry, one more
All
thing.
right.
Just a shameless plug for our January 29th 218 workshop, 6 o'clock for anybody that might be watching. That is the public workshop that we are offering as an education piece prior to the February 4th council meeting, on which the council will be asked to consider the action item. The letters, the 218 letters will go out this week, no later than Friday, so that we can meet the 45-day. But just for anybody that might be watching, January 29th, 6 p.m., public workshop.
Location.
Here.
Yes. And Michael will be present from Bartle Wells in person.
Good.
I'm good.
Okay, we're gonna talk, council report. Carolyn, would you like to start?
Yeah, I got a lot. So let's see, COG. Attended COG after the last meeting. Here is the Calaveras County Active Transportation and Recreational Trail Plan, so I can send that around if anybody wants to look at that. That was a presentation that we got. Let's see, we did appoint a new citizen member, Trevor Whitkey. Is that how you say it? Whitkey? Yeah. So he'll be joining us at the next meeting in February. And then, let's see, we had a presentation on the audit, the financial audits, and there were no issues found. So that's kind of the big things on that one. And then CTA, we got, and I forgot to bring it, I'm sorry, we got, the big news was the Calaveras Transit Agency facility design update and request for direction. And so we were presented with two different building types and design. And so we went with one overall design, but we changed the windows of the frontage of the building. But it's really great. It's got solar, it's got parking for all the buses, it's got a bus car wash type thing. It's very cool. So that's that on CTA. And then did you take really good notes from Utica?
I did.
Okay, great. I'll let you do Utica. And then lastly, I attended the last League of Cities District dinner meeting last Thursday it was in Modesto at the American Graffiti Museum, and also said goodbye to our area director, Stephen Qualls. He's retiring at the end of the month, so. Yep, I went to the parade.
Their parade or our parade?
Our parade.
Oh, well, yeah.
I also went to our parade too. That was great.
Yeah, I attended our parade, which was well attended. I think it was beautiful. The weather was great. They had a kind of a Christmas bazaar earlier in the day than after, so Santa was available for a longer period of time. I thought it was well attended. Wonderful. Thanks to all of our volunteers. So yeah, we had our Utica water meeting on December 10th, and the things that we discussed were it was quite a meeting. We had a deep presentation from the consultant on the exemption process. So a lot of the talk about environmental and cultural studies, they're all underway. The data's been collected and now they're compiling the reports that is all going to be part of our application that goes to FERC. The high flow water, the water flow is still being captured. They need to get seasons of that. So the high flow is predicted to be in February, and that's going to be a component that's going to get added. And we are still working on the draft memo of authorization with the reporting agencies such as Fish and Wildlife and State Water Board and so forth. We're trying to work on a draft because if we had those agreements in place, that would look really attractive to compile that as part of our packaging for our application. Financially, the FERC project is within budget of the FERC reserve account, so we're in a really good spot. I talked about that at the last meeting, so if anybody has any questions about that, the numbers are available. But we're on target for right after the first of the year to potentially propose, to submit our application. We want it to be as thorough as possible so it doesn't get just put on a shelf and overlooked because it wasn't complete enough. So these are the things that I think that our staff is doing a really good job of trying to hit all those check marks and make sure it's as complete as it can be, with the exception of the data that has yet to be collected.
Yeah. And wasn't there something about the MOUs may not be ready by the submission date that you guys
Well,
are
there was
shooting
talk
for?
about one kind of grand MOU or break it up. And so there is, as of right now, we're shooting for the gold and we're gonna try to get all of them into an MOU or at least some sort. I can't remember which one. Typically, one of the agencies, it might have been Fish and Wildlife, or they won't sign an MOU. They'll do a letter in support of the MOU, but they won't sign an agreement.
U.S. Forest.
That was
Was it
Export,
Forest?
I think it was
Okay,
Forest.
so anyway, so there's things like that we're still working through the nuances of. Yeah. So that was big. Let's see. We got a presentation from Streamline regarding Utica's website. So this is something that we need to consider for next year. There are new regulations out or coming out about municipalities and the requirements of our websites with regard to
ADA compliance?
Yeah, and so this Streamline is a company that is doing state and local agencies only. They're nationwide, and they are doing a handful of other agencies. We can provide you that list, but we did entertain a presentation from them, and we looked at the numbers, and it was within budget. To our Utica's website was going to be. It was WordPress, and I think our web designer was retiring and not coming back.
She just had twins.
Okay, so we were going to be needing to make a decision soon anyways, and then we decided to entertain this to try to kind of kill two birds with one stone. We needed somebody, and then we needed compliance as well. but it was within budget, so we did pursue that, at least going into the next year, within budget. So it made me think of us and our website and this ADA compliance issue that's gonna be phasing
And like
everybody out.
videos specifically are the ones that are an issue.
Yeah.
If there's any videos on the website.
Yeah, like certain PDFs and videos that need to be visible enough for.
Yeah, so there's people going and litigating against municipalities about this.
You know, it's interesting, that hit the schools probably 5 years ago. The
Really?
schools had to update their websites and make them ADA compliant. It's interesting,
We're a little behind the times.
So when you say that this was within the budget, so what, this new company's gonna replace the current
Right.
web provider,
Right.
correct? With no additional
So
expense?
we didn't answer, with the current budget through July or July 1st, there was no budget amendment that needed to get done. Likely next year's budget might need to do a slight increase to afford it. It was $340 a month or something like that, or something. We don't need to do any budget adjustments to make this move right now, but July's budget might need to get increased a little bit to absorb this. Is that what you asked, Mike?
Yeah.
Because we really hadn't spent anything on our WordPress, current web designer this year, so we were under budget. Yeah, that's how it was working out. We did adopt a records management policy that we've never had before.
Retention policy?
Well, it was a records management policy involving retention of documents and digital signing. So that was huge because we didn't have anything in place, and they're gonna start doing that. There's a lot of documents. Oh gosh, the November outage, huge. So the November outage was completed. A lot of work got completed. I don't want to bore you guys, but a lot of it was in Angels. I'm sure Chris knows this, and he's not here to talk about it, but the Angels Canal and Flume were the primary focus. They did a lot of shotcrete. They replaced boxes on the Flume itself, on Murphy's Grade, which was apparently really hairy, like the downside of the Flume. For like, which Kyle talked about that being one of his scariest moments. And I'm like, and you go out on 3/4 mile and this was scary.
Because
But I
it goes
guess
down and then it goes under.
Yeah, it
Oh,
goes
so
under
it's
the
so
narrow
narrow, the road.
and it's very like slippery and shaded, and yeah, he said it was really
It was icy a couple mornings.
yeah. A lot of leaks in the Flume that were repaired. A lot of vegetation control. They hooked up 2 new irrigation customers that we had already authorized, and they took advantage of it doing it during this time. So they're all locked and loaded for next year. They repaired the slide gate on the Angels diversion. And then powerhouse stuff that they did, I can't even speak to because it's like science.
Right.
Frank was, I mean,
Yeah, like rocket science.
he took some gasket out that was made of leather. That's how old
It hadn't been
Hadn't
repaired or
been repaired
replaced
either
since the 30s.
Yeah, like 100 years. So
So he really needed to crack into it and
Yeah.
see like how's this thing operating, because there were some leaks and things happening, and so he didn't know what he was getting into, and then he needed to just kind of take it apart piece by piece and figure out how am I going to replace that, and there's components made of leather, and he found a
wax
company
leather. So he
in
found a company and he ordered a whole bunch of them because he's like, I have no idea if this company's going to be around in the next 40 to 100 years, so we'll just keep them
but
on.
they made stuff for old powerhouses made of this crazy leather. I said, was it a saddle shop?
Yeah.
Was
Was it Italy? Like,
Yeah, where did you
come
come
from? Yeah.
But no, he did a lot of work to the Angels Powerhouse and the Murphy's Powerhouse, repairs of, I put tons of mechanic stuff to perform maintenance on and repaired a bunch of leaks, and then he had to put it back together, get the parts, find the parts, understand it, put it back together, literally over the top impressive. And then they did a lot of other maintenance stuff, but those were his big projects that he's tearing into during that November outage. The other thing is we went through our audit, and that will be final. I think they're getting the drafts of the finaling of the audit. That's going to be coming in January. And they were proud of the new signs that went up in both Tryon Park and Angels Museum. So those look nice. They had the emergency evacuation plan meeting here that next day, so that would have been like the 11th. Yeah. Oh, and then the last thing, Joel was nominated as chair for the Aqua Association. So he was pretty proud of that, and he'll be chairing that board for the next year or so, or however long.
I'll be attending the Aqua Conference in DC in February, and I'm also meeting with our legislators at that time because I happen to be there for work. So I'll be meeting with Padilla's office again, and I don't know if I need to go to Schiff's office and what's that? But we'll see.
So we do have some letters of support. Did we ever get a letter from La Conta?
We do have
Yeah.
But not
everything, but
Padilla.
not Padilla. So I need to meet with Nate, who's their FERC guy in his office. So
To add that to our
yeah, I
application.
have to get that.
That's all I have. Isabel?
I don't have anything to report, just welcome to Michael, welcome to Christina, and this will be your last meeting as an active, I know you don't leave office until January 6th, but it's been a pleasure working alongside you, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
I don't have much. I went to Union's 218 hearing up in Murphy's. It passed just to see what kind of how they did and what went on, because ours is coming up in a month or so. So that was very good. I'm happy we're having an outreach on that. Also, thank you for your years of service. What else? Can I hit on future agenda items for 30 seconds on since the 218? Hopefully ours passes coming up. Right after that, we have the Utica budget that we all met and did. Could we do like a 1-2, the 218, and then we could pass that budget at that time right after that too?
So you want the Utica budget on the February 4th agenda?
Well, we could then, I mean, because that's part of our 218, and built into that, we can go 1-2. I don't know. Something to talk about. So
Is it the Utica budget or the annual contributions?
it's the 5-year budget that we've already
The
talked about. We
contribution,
just haven't, we just haven't ratified it. Yes, it would be the contribution.
the
It'd
contribution
be the contribution
up to
5-year.
500, up to 545. Okay.
So are you asking for a JPA meeting?
Like, yeah, I was
No,
asking
'cause we've
at
already-
this meeting, we already.
No, we've already done the JPA and we've all approved it. We just haven't officially stamped it yet, right? We all have
Our
to,
5-year commitment?
yes,
Okay.
Well, it's dependent on whether or not our 218 is successful.
exactly. So that's what I mean. Like
But
right
it's
after, if it,
agenda, so that we have
it would
the
fall
vote,
right into
and then-
place if passed.
And then we
I
would
see what you
have
mean.
it on the agenda.
Right.
So is it 45 days after? What's the,
From mailing the letter, so we're mailing the letters, and then 45 days is the public.
hearing? And then what's the part where they can oppose it? I mean, is
It's
it
45 days.
45 after the 20?
During the 45
No,
days
during the
before.
45
during
days.
the
This is
first-
Up until, yeah, so they can come and protest at the February 4th meeting.
Oh.
And then that's when it's finalized. I mean, we'll, of course, bring it won't be effective until June 21st, which is our first billing cycle for July. It actually starts on June 21st.
So the approval, what you're asking for, has to happen in February then?
Or just before the budget of July 1st, maybe.
Because we won't know until the protest period is over, whether or not,
It will be over
Right.
February 4th, yeah.
February 4th.
Yeah,
Right.
so I
So
think
that's
what
Alvin's
you're saying,
asking
just
to
do-
put it after that on the
I think-
agenda,
Right.
Oh, I thought you were talking about in January.
No, right after that,
February 4th.
right after that 218,
Okay.
right after that, then could go the Utica because that's
You're
all.
talking about the workshop.
No, the
No,
workshop
that's
is on
January
29th.
29th.
Then the 45 days.
Then the 45
Then
No,
February.
45 days is from
45 days from the
Friday.
day you mail it
Friday.
out.
Oh, Friday.
That's the protest, you have
start.
the 45-day protest, it has to be a written protest. If I'm going back in the Wayback Machine.
It is. It
It has
does.
to be a written protest in that 45 days. Then we have the public hearing. And that night, if there's not enough, what is it 50 plus 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 50 plus 1 to be against, and,
Right.
or if not, we could pass. And then right after that, we could then pass the Utica that we've already agreed on as the JPA and voted on, budgetary, right?
Because we
Or off
would
my-
know if it passed.
Because we know if it passes or not.
But-
Or am I off my rocker?
Yeah.
Okay.
It will help though. I thought UPUD had the 50 plus 1 and then somebody filed afterwards.
They only had 9 protests when I went there.
You're talking about last time?
No, I'm
Oh.
talking about this time. That's why they had to do another 218. I think it came,
They had litigation.
They,
I don't think they
I
had.
think they can
pulled some
always
things
challenge
out
it.
of there.
no. But so they did the 45-day notice. They had, no, I'm talking about last time.
Yeah.
But then they had somebody, so if someone sues, that stops isn't that what's happening?
They've
now?
had a citizen initiative,
Right.
right?
That was gonna be
Right.
on the
Yes,
ballot.
that was gonna be on the ballot.
It can't, yes. And they decided to redo another
Yes.
218 hearing. They didn't
Right.
have to, it
No.
passed.
But
Uh-huh.
it
It
was-
passed, but there was litigation and they decided to do it.
Correct.
Yes.
I'm
No, that's
speaking out of
correct.
memory.
Yep.
And then they hadn't,
So-
they decided to redo it.
So I guess I'm fine with talking about it, but I don't want to take action that's going to encumber the citizens until we know whether or not we're going to, without protest. But if someone files suit, then that puts our contribution on hold because we can't implement it until after the suit.
The hard part is somebody can file suit at any time.
Can I recap, make sure I understand what's being asked? So we're gonna send the letter out this week.
Right,
As soon as we send the letter out, that starts the 45-day protest
right.
window. During that 45-day protest window, we're also gonna have a public workshop
Right.
during those 45 days on January 29th. Those 45 days end on February 4th. On February 4th, we're gonna have a council meeting where you formally adopt the 218, depending on how,
The outcome, right.
we have a full public hearing on that. So you're saying on that same agenda, when we adopt the 218, the very next item on the
Next item
agenda.
on the agenda,
is-
if passes.
Yes. And
If
if
it's
it doesn't pass, then we just pull it
then
off
it's a
the
moot
agenda.
point, right, it goes away because then we have to relook at all that
Does
218.
that make sense?
It does, but then can someone file suit after that?
Yes.
Yes.
They can always file suit.
You can always.
And that's what, my understanding is what happened with Union is they did their 45-day, they adopted
Right.
the fee schedule. Sometime after it was adopted, it was challenged by some group,
It
which
was.
can always happen.
And if it's challenged by some group, then, well, would we still be held accountable if we pass the Utica's new budget?
What do you mean accountable?
I mean, would we still be responsible for contributing that amount of money? More money than we're collecting right now.
We can always amend it
Yeah.
I don't know, how do you amend that?
because it's a budget item.
Maybe I'm just,
No,
So you're saying if we're
so then,
if we're now collecting $2 and if we say we're gonna collect 5,
Right.
are we able to go, and this doesn't pass, are we able to go
right,
back?
or if someone files suit, and it puts the 218 on hold if someone files suit, correct? The implementation of the 218.
It's so speculative because it just depends on, it's so dependent.
When they file suit.
When and what stage of the process,
Yeah.
why they're filing, what the remedy is. I don't know. Theoretically, it could have
So-
ended, but I don't think you're going to be in a position where you're stuck like going off of a cliff and there's nothing you can do about it and have to continue to do something.
I mean, accepting of the 218 is accepting of the 5-year plan essentially anyway, because that's what the raise in the rates are.
right,
But
that's what we based our rates off.
Right, but it was based on a successful 218 that wasn't challenged.
Correct, and that's what will happen on that night.
Yeah,
If
so
it
that night,
passes.
we're gonna know if it's challenged or not.
But someone can someone can file after the fact, just like
Can
you did.
we talk about this at the next agenda?
They for sure can,
Sure.
for sure can, but then
I
why
know
do we,
can.
my only
can.
question is then why do we even do that
Yeah.
why do we even do that as a JPA then?
Right,
Because we met as a JPA
and we agree.
twice, we met to agree to look at a 5-year plan
Right.
and make it easy on everybody, and then we also met here and voted for it. We just have to put our stamp and seal of approval on
I guess, and I know, I'm
it.
sorry.
We'll go over a different time.
But I'd like some kind of legal opinion about what would happen if we pass the 218 and it's challenged, if we file suit, what does that do with us putting that 218 in effect? Does it put it on pause? I'd like to know that. That's my concern.
Okay, do you have any other council report on meetings and such?
No, because our meeting was canceled,
Okay.
our Habitat.
Rose has our calendar up, or she did,
Oh,
so
look at
if
you.
anybody wants to
So-
look at
This is December, and I'm working on next year's. So, and these are gonna be links that you just click it and it'll take you.
Yeah.
So, if you guys have stuff that you want on this calendar, please let me know. I'll add it.
We got an invite to tomorrow.
I know, I just made a note of that.
We got an invite to tomorrow's staff cookouts.
Yeah.
Cocoa and cookies, we're
I
acknowledging
can't, I have
staff.
conflict, I wish I could make it, I just got
And it's
out.
ugly sweaters, so bring your sweaters.
Okay, anybody else with any other future agenda item requests?
Can we
Steve?
go back in just 2 minutes to close for
I
clarification?
already reported out, can I go back in?
Just
Okay,
for clarification.
okay, we will go back into closed session before adjournment. And I thank you all for attending, thank you so much. What do you want to do about Sam?